Multiple large-scale randomized research studies prove that students exposed to less bus diesel emissions have significantly better test scores, improved lung function tests and aerobic capacity, and 8% lower absenteeism.
Children's bodies are even more susceptible to diesel bus emissions. They take more breaths at a faster respiratory rate than adults, and this means they are breathing even more toxic air. The diesel buses can expose the kids to exhaust in amounts that are 23 to 46 times the cancer risk level considered significant under federal law.
My son CJ had an asthma attack at the age of 4 years old. As a person who grew up with asthma, I understand that it is easily triggered by outside environmental factors. I discovered the health impacts of electric school buses. Not only do they safeguard our children's air from harmful toxins such as diesel that is emitted from traditional school buses and is also a known carcinogen that causes cancer in the living tissue, they are also an effective way to mitigate climate change.
Also, you can reduce healthcare costs. So the more emergency department visits and hospitalizations for asthma, that could be reduced through riding on cleaner buses, less exposure to diesel fumes. And then also it makes a difference for parents because there are fewer work days missed. Your kid isn't sick, they can go to school healthy.
We need to address the harmful impacts of transportation, which is now one of the largest contributors to air pollution.
Knowing where we've been, especially with gas-powered engines and all that things of that nature, I think we need to continue to reduce emissions as much as possible.
If we took all of the diesel fuel buses and converted them to electric buses, we would get rid of 5 million tons of greenhouse gases every year. That would be the same as getting rid of 1 million cars.
We know that there's a lot of communities in Minnesota and across the country that have high levels of air pollution because they already have a lot of traffic. The one thing we can do is for kids that live in that community, let's put them on a cleaner school bus. It makes a difference to them. It makes a difference to the air in the larger community. It's one less source of pollution.
It's healthier for the people riding in the buses and driving them, and it gives our planet a fighting chance for survival.
We chose electric school buses after my husband, who's also a physician, he had investigated the effects of diesel fumes on students. And there were really great studies, big studies with thousands of students showing that when we decrease their exposure to diesel fumes, we increase their school performance and we increase their school attendance.
We need to promote a better environment and a better future for our younger generation, and there's no better place to instill in the youngest generation that passion for sustainability than in their school buses. That every morning they're reminded that we have the capacity to make sustainable, environmentally friendly choices, and I think electric school buses are a great way to do that.
There is also the possibility of vehicle-to-grid potential, known as V2G. This is a way for the energy stored in the bus battery to be sent back to the grid.
I think it's really exciting to be able to have these, what I would call these rolling batteries for the school district.
We have experience from school districts in Michigan and in Minnesota. Lakeville Schools has had electric school buses for many years, and they've deployed them successfully and operated them during the colder months.
As somebody who immigrated to the U.S., both the lack of transportation and also the heavy dependence on cars has always been surprising to me. I think it's crucial that we take environmental action by setting a good example for young students.
We're hearing from people up in Osseo who have, I believe, three electric buses, and they're getting 3 more. They've said that they're saving about $4,000 a year per bus, and it might be as much as $10,000 a year per bus.
We have also learned from other school districts that these electric buses are very safe. The weight of the vehicle is evenly distributed under the carriage of the bus, and these electric school buses do not slide off into the ditch when they are driving on icy, snowy conditions, compared to diesel buses that have all their weight in the front.
From experience with school districts that have electric school buses, that they're quieter, more pleasant to be on, and the kids' behavior is better because it's quieter. You've got this nice, clean bus riding in your neighborhood. It helps improve the whole community.
We are overdue. Today's school children don't have the same memories of rotary telephones, running down to the record shop to hear the latest music. Why must those school children today have the exact same experience going to school as kids in the 1950s?
I spent the majority of my time growing up here in Minnesota. I spent outside with my family and friends, and something that I want to keep in mind for my future family is protecting the environment as much as possible.
While it does cost more money up front, I think being able to look at this long term is going to be of benefit for not just Minneapolis, but also for our state, our country, and our world.
I talked with my students, we talked about why do people not want to move to this quicker? Basically because people are like hesitant for different reasons. It could be like the corporations like money, it could be just not being certain of the technology. And I think the sooner that we invest in those things and the more we can figure out, the better the process will be.
What we've noticed about the state of Minnesota is people in rural areas tend to be very resistant to electric school buses or anything, electric vehicles in general. So we thought once these get up and running in rural areas, people will see day after day how wonderful electric school buses are, that they can run in very cold temperatures, that the children love them, that the bus driver loves them, and seeing that day after day would be very convincing.
There are several states that have committed to funding electric school buses with a plan to transition to all electric school buses by 2035. Minnesota should do the same and now has access to green bank loans to help with this project.
Now is the time to make the investment so that the federal dollars that are available for electric school buses can be multiplied by state investment in charging infrastructure and more electric school buses.
As movers and shakers and doers and leaders and innovators, we have the responsibility to protect our children at all costs.
Our goal is the 80% reduction in greenhouse gases by 2040 from the transportation sector. In order to make that happen, we have to actually expend the resources to actually reduce the greenhouse gases. State legislators can enact policies that require new buses after a certain date be zero emission. Can also provide state grants and rebates and other financial assistance. And finally, they can create programs that complement the federal funding and how they can help the transit companies and school districts that want to deploy electric buses access that funding and complement with state funding.
We got together a group of people in the South Metro. We call ourselves the Climate Majority Project. This year we're working on just trying to get some time set aside at the legislature so we can give a testimony in front of the senators and representatives about how important it is to accelerate the transition to electric school buses.
We're putting together the Intertribal Electric Vehicle Charging Network, where we are connecting tribal nations throughout the Midwest into this electric vehicle corridor. We have got 2 electric school buses, and we will be bringing those 2 school buses into the Red Lake Nation community in northern Minnesota.
Health professionals for a healthy climate can support this effort with a toolbox of information to assist the schools to apply. We encourage you to contact us as soon as you can.
I am asking you to utilize your voice, your power, and your platform to call for the adoption of electric school buses across all Minnesota school districts.
Having students advocate before school boards and legislators is probably one of the most effective tools. We all need to show up at the voting booths and elect representatives who champion causes such as these. This transition requires many people to get on board. And as long as we understand this is for the health of our children and planet, we will move forward.
Please step up and speak up to help our students learn and breathe better, to help schools save money in fuel and maintenance costs while decreasing harmful climate pollution. All Minnesota students deserve to ride to school in a clean and healthy electric school bus.